It's really starting to look like a building up there. Unfortunately, the first pressure test failed. Good morning. Right over my shoulder you can see pile of work number 6, and we're about to get started spreading that out on the cisterns. Charles is also starting to cap off the box with insulation on top. In addition to insulating the cisterns themselves, we are insulating the pipes between the cisterns and the future yurt. After covering the pipes with sand, Charles adds a foam board and then another layer of sand. And we're finally getting close to the point where we can start ordering less expensive fill to shovel over the top of the sifted sand. And of course, when we are finished, we will grow plants as fast as possible to help hold our new cistern mountain in place. It's been 6 weeks now since we set the cisterns in place, and as they are slowly swallowed by the sand pile, Charles is adding the last bits of plumbing so we can bury those too. You may remember that the first tank is the one where the water will enter the system, and there is a P-trap installed at the end where Charles is working. Can you remind everyone where this pipe goes to?
This is the overflow pipe. So when the rain completely fills these tanks, water has to go somewhere, so this is where it'll go. This is a pop-up drainage emitter. This will go on the end of the drain pipe, or the overflow pipe, and when it overflows, it's spring-loaded, so the water will flow out to the side like that, and then when the water stops, it closes, keeps critters and stuff out.
Good morning. We are about to begin the raising of the posts on the yurt piers, which is going to start looking like an actual structure. The sun is beating down pretty hard today, so we don't know how far we'll get in the morning. And you may see us back again in the same spot when the shade comes in the evening. A few months ago, Charles got a system down for putting up piers when he built the solar array. He cuts the 4x6 posts to length one at a time before putting them up. This takes 2 cuts with a small circular saw. He tried to borrow a larger one, but it tripped the breaker on our solar system. Then he uses a borrowed hammer drill to make a hole for the anchor bolt, secures the bracket to the footing, makes sure the post is plumb, and screws it in. Then he can set the horizontal beams across the piers and temporarily secure them with screws. Those are my socks, Pandora. What are you doing? Good morning. We should have a cloudy day for getting a lot of work done today. Day 3 of putting up posts. It's really starting to look like a building up there. Day 4 of putting up posts. Charles came out to work for a few hours, hoping that the rain will hold off long enough to make it worth bringing the tools out. And over here at the sand, we are waiting on just a few parts to come in to complete the plumbing on the pump. I think it's time for you to go home now, Dharma. Good morning. Charles is going to turn his attention to finishing the plumbing, and we can start finally getting that underground. In a previous episode, you met the pump that will take the water from this cistern all the way up to the yurt. That flexible hose was the original plan for the water to go from the pump. However, Charles wants the pump to sit right where it's at on the flat part at the end of the cistern, and he has decided to plumb it in with PVC so that it moves less. This is an experiment, so don't do what we do unless you check back in and make sure that it's working next year when we've got water in the cisterns. Before plumbing the pump in place, Charles wants to do a pressure test. Well, unfortunately, the first pressure test failed. Now that it's behind us, can you explain what happened with the pressure test?
It worked. There was a leak in where this fitting screwed into the black fitting, and just had to tighten it down, and it held. So now we're ready to continue.
It's the very last joint.
Just wind it up as you pull it.
Can you explain how you've designed this so that you can access the pump without getting into the tank?
Well, we're going to have a stanchion 2 feet up. So I came out of the pump up to a coupler here that you can take loose, and then back down and out to where it goes up to the yurt. So if we need to replace the pump, I can just take this loose here, pull this with everything up through the top, and then lower another one back down.
Bye-bye, plumbing. Good morning. Charles got an early start today. He put some conduit up the hill for the power cord to the pump and buried it with the rest of that sand pile.
Alright, the platform structure is complete. We're ready for sips. Well, got to do the deck first. There's going to be a deck that goes all the way around it. I'll go for materials for the deck probably tomorrow. The 2x4s that go this way are just bracing. Keep everything the right distance apart. Rest of it's all done.